So over here, you're gonna see all this dirt that we've tilled up. I'm going to be planting flowers all right there. It's gonna be so amazing, hopefully, if I can keep it watered. Hey guys, today I wanted to show you how our sunflowers did for 2019 and also share a few tips and tricks. So you can see here my sunflowers are almost done for the season. I get a lot of smaller sunflowers and a lot of big sunflowers because I plant them really close together. And sunflowers are kind of one of those plants that don't really do well with companion planting, but there are some things that you can companion plant with them. Like I planted zinnias and cosmos and they did fine right next to the sunflowers, but sunflowers actually secrete a chemical that can inhibit the growth of other plants around them. So it's best to plant them with just each other, or again zinnias or cosmos or other types of flowers. To prep for this bed, I started tilling early in the season when it was still cold, and I probably tilled twice before I ever laid any seed down, and I also tilled in some chicken manure. Here's just a little basket of some of the smaller sunflowers that I picked. And you can tell when these are ready to pick when the seeds are nice and contrasted, like the white and the black in the seed is really contrasty. If they're still a light gray or a light tan or even a white, they're not ready to pick to set out to dry. Now you could let your sunflowers dry on the stalk. I don't do that because the birds would eat all of them. So I just wait until I see all of this contrast and then I pick them. And there's also one other trick that I'm going to share with you to really tell if they're ready to pick. Because you really don't want your sunflowers to be picked too soon, or you'll get really small seeds or no seeds at all. So you want to make sure they're fully mature before you pick them. So the first thing you're going to look for, or the first thing that I look for in order to pick and dry them myself, is I look for the stalks to have like a kink in them. Like this one's about to kink, but it's not quite kinked just yet. Once you see the kink in the stalk, that flower head is no longer getting any more nutrients, so those seeds are as mature as they're going to get, and you can go ahead and cut those and dry them out. And I just dry them out on a tray. I put them in my barn and I dry them out for the season, or I'll the ones that I'm going to eat, I'll pick and I'll store them inside and let them dry inside. This one had a borer vine. Believe it or not, sunflowers do get borer vines just like your squash, but they tend to be a little hardier and they can handle it much better than squashes. But if you have a ton of borer vines, that could be a really big issue for your sunflowers. So here's one that has, this is the kink that I was talking about. Once you see that, you can go ahead and pick those and dry them out, and you can see this one's definitely ready because it's nice and contrasted. There's a lot of black in there. It's not a light tan color or white. So this one would be ideal to pick right now and dry yourself. So when I seed started my sunflowers, I seed start right in the ground. So I direct sow my sunflower seeds, and I start in early March. As soon as the last frost date is gone and past, I put my sunflower seeds out, because I find that when you start them when it's cooler, they take their time to grow, and you can grow much bigger sunflowers that way, because it gets hot here in East Texas really early on. So if I start them too late, they end up staying really small and they don't do as well. And in this patch, you'll see I've got some really big ones, I've got some really small ones, and that's kind of just how it is. And I don't, once I've tilled up and I've put that chicken manure in, I don't add any more fertilizer to this. However, I do make sure if it's dry early in the season, I make sure that I keep these watered pretty well, because sunflowers do like a lot of water, especially in the beginning, and they like a consistent amount of water. So you can't water them and then neglect them for a week and then start watering them again. They don't like that. They like consistent conditions. At least that's my opinion. That's what I've found with growing sunflowers. So I'm just showing you a bunch of the smaller ones that are done here. And this row is probably about 4 feet wide. So they were really beautiful earlier in the season. I wish I had a clip of them earlier on. I think I've got some pictures coming up in this video that you'll see what some of them look like, but I had some really, really huge ones. And also another tip, after you've harvested your heads and you've dried them out and they're ready to eat, you can remove the seeds just by rubbing them off. They come off really easy once they're ready. And then there's 2 ways to cook, to roast them and salt them. I like to soak them in salt water, and then I just stick them on a baking sheet in the oven for a little while until they're fully dry, and you could flavor them at that time too, or you can kind of roast them on a hot pan, like a frying pan or a wok, and you can add like a garlic oil with some salt, anything you want, and just lightly toast them that way. And you don't want to touch these guys. You'll be in a lot of pain. So the variety that I grow are the gray stripy varieties. I do grow other varieties, but this is the best one if you're wanting nice large seeds like the ones you get in the store. Here are some pictures of some of the sunflowers that I harvested and saved for seed. And I did leave a lot of the smaller ones for the birds to have. Here's a picture of the smaller ones, because I do want to share some of my harvests with the birds. I want to keep them around. But we had a great year for sunflowers. We had a ton of really big ones, and I've got pounds and pounds of sunflower seeds for next year. So I'm planning on growing a lot more next year. And here's little Beckham standing in front of him. This was a little earlier in the season, but that's it for this video. I hope you guys try growing some sunflower seeds. I definitely recommend the gray stripy variety. I think it's the best flavor-wise and the best for how big of flowers you get and how big of seeds you get, and they just perform really, really well here in East Texas. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.